Welcoming once again to the show, Keith Martins, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. Good afternoon, Keith, or good morning. I don't know what it is. Sometime welcome.
Anytime I'm here is a good time.
It's always a good time, right? And this is where we once a week bring Keith's blog that he sends out via his newsletter, which is wonderful. If you don't subscribe to it, go to sportscarmarket.com, right?
Right, that's right.
And you can subscribe to the newsletter, and we're going to tell you about a special offer at the end of the show that you can get to subscribe there. So your blog this week that we're bringing to life is the SCM 1971 Jaguar E-Type turns 32.
I was referring to the mileage on the car. Because the car itself is 54 years old.
Gotcha.
But I bought that car 5 years ago with 20,000 certified original miles on it.
Wow.
Always well taken care of. And we put 10,000 miles on it in 5 years.
And that's more than most people put on their classic cars, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, there were several 1,000-mile tours that we took it on.
Sure.
But we found this car has never been apart. It's all original, and it's always been well taken care of. So, in effect, it's a 3-year-old. 30,000 miles would be about a 3-year-old car.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it's amazing how that is. And, of course, you talked about this particular chassis number when you plugged it into the SC. By the way, the Platinum database that you guys have on your site is phenomenal. It's got so much good stuff and, so many records and history in cars. And not just one car, a VIN number is one time on there. The same VIN number could have sold 10, 15 times in the system. And this one was originally offered at eBay Cruise in 2001.
Yeah, and we had an auction reporter who saw it at that cruise auction.
Right. That is dating.
It had 16,000 miles on it then, and that helped me believe that the mileage was correct.
Sure. Yeah, that's always good to have some kind of confirmation about the mileage, even though just because it says it on the title that it's actual miles doesn't mean that it's actual miles. Just because it says exempt doesn't mean that it's not actual miles either. So to have some kind of checks and balances is nice to have.
Well, Stuart, I've been thinking about this car because I think what sets it apart is it's never been taken apart. It never got to a point where they said, let's restore this car.
Sure.
It's always been a complete running, driving, cared for vehicle.
Well, and you pointed out in the blog that that it's interesting that these cars that are not restored sometimes aren't as good as they weren't well maintained or taken care of. They just had low miles because they didn't get driven a lot. This one was really well maintained the whole time as well.
It was the man who originally owned it was a NASA engineer, and it was his son who was a NASA engineer.
Right.
Bought it from. What I found on that car, I know nothing about V12 Jags,
Sure.
but I got interested in the car, and the trolls on Bring a Trailer just picked that car to pieces.
Right.
And I enjoyed reading what they had to say, and then how the owner came right back and answered every single question. Was very straightforward, said, well, I'll go take a look at that for
Sure.
you. It created an air of assurance about spending $40,000.
And the thing about it is with Bring a Trailer, it could be intimidating if you're not used to kind of getting, you take your car to a car show and nobody's going to critique it, not least to your face. But when you put it on Bring a Trailer or any of these online sites, man, you open yourself up for can open a can of worms that you don't really realize that you're going to get. And unfortunately, some people aren't able to handle it. And the guys that handle it well, as you said, to your point, you think, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He just didn't know what to put in initially when he listed the car or offered it for sale.
Right. I think it's harder and harder for a private person to sell their car on Bring a Trailer because you're getting all these sophisticated sellers who charge you a lot of money. I mean, it's some of the sellers I've used, they charge me $1,500 for the photo package.
Right.
Then they charge you your 10 to 12% premium.
Yeah.
So if you've got a $30,000 or $40,000 car, it's hopeless.
Yeah, you're already upside down before you start.
Yeah, and I don't quite know the answer to that. How to sell a private party car for $25,000.
Well, the argument is Facebook Marketplace, but if you've ever put anything on Facebook Marketplace, it's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down because it's crucial. First of all, you get scammers and things that have nothing to do with cars, and before you know it, you're answering a gazillion emails and you still haven't sold your car.
Well, somehow I'm getting a lot of emails from Russians who say, "What name would you like on the title?"
Well, that's good. Yeah, I like that. I think that presumptive close, right? Well, I think that maybe the answer is that Bring a Trailer works really well at what it works really well at, which is kind of oddball stuff or limited production stuff or things that have low miles, something that's got something interesting. Maybe is the time now that somebody like eBay says, "Hey, wait a minute. Let's refocus on eBay Motors. Because eBay Motors, we advertise on there, but it's not anything close to what it used to be. Maybe it's time that they took a little curated version of eBay Motors and maybe did something for the lower end guys, not for all the high end stuff like Bring a Trailer."
Stewart, they'll never do it.
I know. It's too good.
We've worked with eBay right from day one. And their philosophy is, we'll take anything you want to send us.
Right, exactly.
They're not interested in. We had a program we wrote for them that saved every VIN and every auction of a car that appeared on eBay. And we ran it for about 3 years. And it was fabulous because you could look up everything.
Right. But
they didn't care. Yeah. They just didn't care.
Well, their core business is not cars,
No, way back. No, their core business is eBay Motors is the most profitable segment of eBay.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So,
so their core business is anything that you care to enter.
Doesn't matter what it is or what it isn't or what you say it is or it isn't.
You can't leave feedback anymore.
Right.
Like you used to do.
Right.
I mean, I just think eBay, Facebook Marketplace, to me, whenever I'm on one of those spaces, I feel like I'm in Lord of the Rings and I'm in the tower and I'm watching all the ogres and troll. I mean, the things that come at you are so, and they're all 2/3 of them are stolen anyway.
Right. Exactly. I mean, some of the things that we get, some of the emails we get from eBay when we put stuff on there, which we put all of our inventory just rotates on there all the time. It's just hilarious. I mean, the justification that a guy tells you why he's offering $5,000 for your $90,000 car is poetry. We've got to create a whole book just about that.
I know. or like, what do you know about the history of this car? Well, let's see. I bought it from my best friend's wife, and both halves fit together pretty well.
I love the one when you tell the guy, "Now give me a description of your car," and he says, "Red 4-speed." Okay, that covers all the bases there.
But I do think that's a question for me. I had a $24,000 SL55 that I put on MB Marketplace.
Right, Mercedes-Benz Marketplace, yeah.
And I got about 23 or 4. I mean, it's a $24,000 car.
Right.
And I went to MB Marketplace because their fees were a lot lower than the places that I usually go. And on a $24,000, you've really got to be up to a $100,000 car.
Right.
Where paying the percentages and the photo fees. Now, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
But it's not a place to put. I was just looking. There was an MGB on Bring a Trailer that sold for $6,000.
Yeah, it doesn't seem logical to do that.
No, but where else would you put it these days?
I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, that seems like, obviously an option is somebody like us, but not, if you're on the West Coast, the likelihood you're not going to send it to Pennsylvania to sell it, or even if you're in Florida. We do get cars from further distance, but again, the problem with our business model is that it's not 1 week or 1 weekend and it's done. Either yes or no, it sold or it didn't. Ours can drag on for months because you may not find that right buyer. There's no sense of urgency to bid on a car that's not in an auction format. And so you get the cars that sit here for 2 or 3 months. Some of them sit here because they're overpriced. Some of them sit here because there's a limited market for them.
How do people find the cars that are when they're doing a search?
Right.
How do they find your car?
Well, generally speaking, is if you type in just about any car, American made from 1950 to 2010, you're going to find us on the first page. If you type in 1965 Ford Mustang, more than likely we're going to be on the first page and popping up. So they find us generically, but they also find us because, we've built all of our marketing things that we do, our newsletter and this show that we do, and all of the things that we're doing are just getting more and more. And our website gets about 1.5 million page views a month, which is pretty strong for a retail standalone dealership.
I agree. What do you know about Classics.com?
Interesting site. I mean, it looks like we do some business with them. They used to have our inventory on there for no charge. Now there's a package that we've agreed to do that we're on there. It's interesting that they hold a lot of data. They probably aren't making any money because the amount of money that they have to spend to get to where they are is probably pretty darn expensive to do what they do.
Well, they scrape everybody's inventory.
Everybody's inventory. And, people say, oh, don't you get mad at them for doing that? No. Now, what I don't want is somebody to get my inventory and then put a new name and contact and email address and all that. When somebody scrapes my inventory and puts it on Joe's Hot Rods or whatever site, it doesn't bother me so bad as long as it's a clear path to Classic Auto Mall, either our phone number, our email address, or our website, or all three.
Well, they're an aggregator of other people's sites, and then at the same time, they always ask you, and how about selling your car?
Right. And I don't know that I don't know that what their business model from a standpoint of selling a car really means any different than anywhere else. Is anybody else going to see it or not see it because you were or weren't on their site? I don't know that answer.
Yeah, I know it's an interesting model.
Yeah.
But it's a semi-research, semi-retail.
Right. Yeah, kind of trying to be both masters kind of a situation.
That's right.
Which is tough. I mean, we run into the same problem here. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what they do. Time will tell. If they're out of business in a year, it's because they spent too much money and they never figured out really how to monetize it. Some of the other sites we're seeing. I mean, we're seeing some of these Haggerty struggles with their online listings and their online auctions. Supercar Blonde is struggling with their online listings. And they spent a lot of money. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out over the next 24 months.
But Stuart, to my point of view, what these what most of them don't get, like Supercar Blondie, it's got interesting stuff. I like her new pink short hair.
Right.
But they confuse eyeballs with involved auction community members.
Exactly.
Part of the problem, I think, with Haggerty is that they have a ton of auction specialists. But that's not the same as having the owner of the car.
Exactly.
There to answer your questions.
Yeah. It changes the dynamic of it when it's not that person who owns the car. And that's why you have to be careful, whether it be at an auction or whatever. You got to kind of read between the lines on what it says and what it doesn't say about a particular car. But to be able to visit with them and especially on these online sites where a guy's never going to see the car in person 99% of the time, you want to at least talk to somebody who's had some experience behind the wheel of that car.
When you talk about never see the car in person, I think about how we'd go to a land auction like a Gooding or an RM or a Broad Arrow, and we would walk into the tent, and then we would walk around the car for 5 minutes and maybe look underneath it, and that's all we'd get.
Right.
You wouldn't hear it run.
No.
And you'd never crawl under the car.
No. You might look a little under if you could kind of sort of see with a flashlight, but that.
Yeah, and I would, and because I was an alpha guy, if I stood around the car, every alpha guy in the place would come, and then we'd secretly pick the car to pieces.
I love doing that. I like picking cars to pieces that are just in the parking lot next to me at the Walmart.
Yeah.
I love doing that. So anyway, thanks so much for being on this week again, Keith. And as we said earlier, we've got a special offer coming up just in a second for a subscription rate to Sports Car Market Magazine. It's a wonderful offer, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
for another adventure.
Absolutely. Keith Martin, everybody. Thanks for listening, and thanks for tuning in today on the Classic Auto Mall Show. We'll catch you next week.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
We've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden. Available on classicautomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.